playing some music while people come in. The mic is live. In the house. Zoe's in the house. All right. Okay, so we're going to have a little different show today. We've got these two incredible ladies. Both of them are coming out. And in the synchronicity and the weaving that we all do together, they both showed up in the same space, and I said, let's do a show. And because there's something, like cousin-esque about them. I don't know how to explain it. They're both obviously not from Earth,
Soul
but
family.
They have a lot to offer. So
yeah, soul sisters.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Did you guys have some form of recognition when you saw each other?
I actually saw her on your live, a couple days ago. And my highest light was like, pay attention to what she's saying, right? She definitely caught my attention, talking about DNA and how to, talk to the DNA and how to program DNA. So I was like, oh, she speaks my language. So everything resonated, and then immediately after that I was talking about her and, she walked in. I'm like, okay. I was meant to, we were meant to cross paths. So.
And what was your take, Ashley Lee?
My take is always just, being present and
showing up.
Yeah, showing up and seeing who we are and seeing how we are with all the different people we meet, right? All the different souls we meet.
Yeah.
And we show we've lived so many incarnations or so many experiences in life, even in our own, this body's experience, right? I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a girl, I'm a nurse, I'm a genetic engineer in energy healing and all different other things. So the way that we show up, we come together differently in different patterns and different situations. And so meeting you was a very insightful, very wonderful, very warm, and we all have all of this to add to everyone that we meet and see in the world.
Oh, I do believe in divine, orchestration, our higher selves are always moving, the avatar chess piece, right? And it was divinely orchestrated. It was like an instant, I know you.
Right.
I don't know how I know you, but the same, Sedona has that magical ambiance, here, everywhere you go, you're definitely wearing your heart on your sleeve and, attracting more soul family.
Yeah.
Genetic engineering, I think you both actually do that with yourselves and with your clients. I know your methods might on the surface look different, but I think they're probably actually the same. What do you think?
They could be. I think we're all very similar in different ways that we activate the opportunities for having that experience of getting deeper and deeper and deeper into expressing our true nature, our true selves in every moment. in every way that we show up in the world, and we choose to present ourselves or presence ourselves in the environments we bring ourselves to.
So at this point, because I know both of you had a very similar life in that you were kind of the square peg where there were only round holes, and it continues to this day, as with many of us, we're a bit estranged maybe at some level or another from family, etc., etc. How do y'all feel about where we're at collectively?
That's a great question. Collectively, I really love and adore where we're at. I sense that we've moved mountains, we've moved volcanoes, we've moved oceans, into opportunities of moving from, so focused on the me, and then moving into the realm of focusing on the us, and supporting everyone, being forward, coming forward in our lives, presencing our resources, our opportunities with one another to share and really collaborate in ways we never thought we could before.
Mm.
Yeah, well said. I amplify that for sure. For me, it was about not being afraid of my power, not being afraid of stepping into the role that I came here to represent for the collective consciousness. And we hold ancient wisdom, ancient knowledge in our DNA. What the suit has to offer, right? The genetic, makeup that we agree to come into these vessels, right? And we're constantly transmuting, transforming, generational trauma, and finding like-minded people, right? Mm. That we can collaborate with. Mm. And there is strength in numbers, Yeah,
we're two more gathered. So in terms of coming out, I've known Ashley since 2018. She's watched me grow. We all watch each other grow. But how do you? I mean, Ashley, you just retired basically, made a choice to jump into the pool full force, and you did too. Mm-hmm. Are you? Where does the human come in? I mean, I know your intel is now starting to make sense. Your life is weaving to your more and more of your comfort, like so many people, with more ease and grace, etc. Where does the human come in for you guys? Is it getting easier to be in this body and interact with humans, etc.? I mean, do you ever get frazzled? I know you both dedicate a lot of your day to the collective work and obviously to yourself. But yeah, where does the human come in?
You could answer that.
That's a good question. Well, this morning I was working on the human of other... I made a decision in 2012 that I wanted to unify my field, and I wanted to unify my body. I had no idea what that really meant. I just felt that as an interdimensional walker and can walk through multiple dimensions at the same time and have different experiences that maybe other people aren't experiencing, or maybe that we are actually experiencing, we just don't know how to share it or say it out loud. And in that presence, I got that the collective consciousness wasn't ready, and then I wasn't ready. So I said to myself on the beach in San Diego, I said, well, I'm ready. I opened to understanding what that means. And what that meant was bringing in all these other experiences and lifetimes that I've had. And just this morning, I was working on another avenue of, I didn't realize some other lifetimes or other experiences had birth traumas themselves. So I didn't realize I needed to kind of clean that up to come in being incarnate as a human being. So I got to release the cord wrapped around my neck in another lifetime, where then I kind of took myself out when I was 16, being blamed for stuff I wasn't doing, and I didn't like it. So I ended my life with the cord around my neck kind of thing. And I didn't realize that was... what that was saying was a bigger picture, was there were a lot of lifetimes where I didn't want to be human, or I didn't want to come in. And so I got on a deeper level today, even that opportunity to heal not wanting to be human.
Just today?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of other stories, but yes, today was the one to clear sort of birth traumas or trying to take myself out in so many clever and unique ways, proving our immortality and really, walking and being who we truly are and who we have an opportunity to access. And when we it's really clear, like over this last week together here in Sedona, that we have the opportunity to really clear our obstacles, our doubts, our concerns, our overwhelm, our need to control, all those things. And as we start to release those very deeply and profoundly and walk in to living open, living free, living, in the flow, like you do so well, Todd. And in that process, it frees our consciousness and allows us to access creativity, understanding, solution creation. We didn't know we could have access to these thoughts or abilities.
Well said. The process for me to integrate, right, and to expand my consciousness started off by learning how to love myself, right? Coming into this density and being an empath as a child, and being labeled, right, with disabilities like dyslexia. I struggled, in the suit, and I struggled with the fear, right, of who's going to believe this. Who can I relate to? So I had to learn how to help myself, right? I had to learn how to, communicate with myself, and, I learned about, how to trust the universe, and that, everything you need is within, right? And that's part of the, the human experience, right? Walking the walk and talking the talk, right? So that was how I just took baby steps, literally, and my spirit guide was very good about teaching me how to be playful, right? Like, step out of fear, step into your light, and, step into your purpose, and don't worry about what anybody else thinks, because they're on their own path, they're on their own journey, right? And, crossing paths with other, star seeds, light workers, high angelics, right? We all have the same theme, right? That's what I found out. We all share similar stories, and we can come together collectively as well with the same passion, that we have for our own individual experiences.
Well said, both of you. So, what is the craziest thing that ever happened to you that you couldn't tell anybody, that you've either not told anybody because you're afraid of what they say, or you've only told a handful or a couple of people? I'm just curious, with the expanse of experience that you have in this incarnation from a multidimensional point of view, what that would be. I'm just curious. Or the one that you would share with us.
It's like, where do you start?
Yeah, the library's big.
For me, my spirit guide, he was like, I was arguing with him, right? He was like constantly telling me, you can't be hiding in the basement, Ruthie. Like, you have to put yourself out there. There are people that are assigned to you. Like, you came here to do the work, and time's up, right? And I was like, Eric, who's going to believe a housewife, right, with 2 children from Ohio? Like, what do I have to offer? Like, who am I? And he's like, well, if, his argument to me was, well, we wouldn't be having this argument if you knew who the F you were, right? And I was just like, well, I guess I'm going to have to figure that out, right? And I learned about archetypes, and I learned about, the monads, and, the pantheons. And he was really cool about it. He said, all that stuff that they taught you in history where they called it mythology, he's like, that's the real deal. He's like, that's where you need to learn, the stories of the pantheons, because that's how you're going to figure out where you fall into all of this. And so I had great guidance in connecting dots, right? And I was very quick to connect the dots. And I was like, well, all of those, images that I would see in my mind's eye started to make sense, right? And I started seeing a pattern, and I started realizing that the people around me were the same characters in many incarnations, right? And I started seeing, how it's all interwoven, intertwined, as above, so below, right? And I started realizing that what we do here in the physical affects the whole entire stream. Mm-hmm. So we are the roots. Mm-hmm. We're in the lowest density that the angels don't even want to incarnate in because of how dense this is. So, when I started figuring out the game and I started realizing how powerful we really are, versus, what society was trying to teach us, right? It changed my whole entire perspective, and with that, the frequency of my own heart expanded, and I activated more chakras that way. Right? And staying in inner child and being playful with the knowledge that was coming through, as crazy as it sounds. And I was constantly telling people, you can't make this up, right? You just can't make this up. The universe is within is the biggest lesson that I learned, right? It's not God without, it's God within. And when you flip the script and you call yourself the goddess that you are, the God that, you take the power back in your hands, and, you command your reality, thy will be done. So...
Wow, that was powerful.
Yeah.
Let's see what your sister can do. What was your craziest experience? I've heard many of her experiences. I heard one that happened yesterday. That was the craziest one I've ever heard that she's done.
What's that one?
But I know she's got something else for us.
Careful what you share with him, because he's outing you right now.
I know. Well, the shower can be a very cathartic environment. So I've had lots of experiences in the shower. I kind of open up. I clear my past. I clear my present. I clear my future. I open up, and I let go of my emotional self. I let go of my ego, and I be that clear channel to all of the higher aspects that want to come in and play. And one aspect was I wanted to know where my water sphere was. I didn't have a water wheel, and I knew that I had a water sphere. And so I thought, and this is the story, isn't it? I thought it was at Sandy Beach on Oahu in Honolulu, and it wasn't. It was over on the Big Island near Kona, or in South Kona. And it was funny because these horses came in, these winged horses came in, and I sensed it was to help me ride them over to the space, so that I didn't control the outcome or the situation, and I let go of the attachment to the outcome. And so I flew in the horses, and they landed me south on the Big Island in a mesa up on the mountain, a green pasture. And it's a very sacred space, and I didn't really realize it at that time about 10 years ago. And then landed, and I said, what am I doing here? This is not in the water. This is not in the ocean. And so my higher self said, just jump over and jump into the ocean. So I jump in, and it's a few miles offshore, and it's about 3,000 feet of depth. And my higher self says, look down. And I see this volcano bubbling up from underneath. And I said, what is that? And my higher self said, it's Loihi. It's the new volcano. It's where the new land is going to be grown, and where the new children are going to be coming in. And so my water sphere is poised over that, welcoming the new children of the earth coming in. And until that time that land erupts through the water, and we have it to work with and be on the south side of the Big Island, is where now over the last 10 years has been growing inside of me, developing me to come forward to develop global energy mastery schools for kids preconception to young adulthood. So we're going to help them learn energy mastery of their physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual selves, unifying their fields so that when they feel whole and complete and unified, it's very easy for them to be in their full expression, to express their giftedness, their genius, their bringing forward in what they're here to support the world, moving on past our great reset that we're doing right now, or a great setting up for a new earth, a new opportunity for us to really live and centered in our hearts, centered in our compassion and our understanding for and with each other.
Isn't this cool that you can actually tell these stories and also your aspirations and your purposes in an environment where people don't look at you funny? I mean, I would imagine in both of your journeys, I'm sure over time you had more people you could talk to. But I mean, to really be able to talk to somebody who's in a group or in a community is one thing, but to actually be able to share these types of stories, have you been able to do that very long?
Well, Ruthie, you brought up a really great point about like archetypes.
Right.
And this opportunity, I remember being all throughout this universe being in the child archetype. So it makes sense that I came in and I'm a pediatric critical care nurse. And then now we're working on pediatric or growth for children of energy mastery to bring all of this forward right now of what we're experiencing. And so to be a part of the bigger part of the puzzle and to collaborate in ways to fortify our strengths with and for each other. We do that for the whole of humanity. So we move into this new one planet, one humanity, this opportunity to share together all of our gifts, all of our opportunities. We know we can creatively create individually and collectively.
Mm. Mm-hmm. How about you, Ruthie? Did it take you a while to find people you could talk to?
I've been doing this for like 5 years now. And in the beginning, what propelled me into learning energy work and different tools, right? Like oils and tuning forks and whatnot, started because I realized, my oldest son was diagnosed at the age of 2 with autism. And he was my first child, and, my heart went out to him because I didn't know, I felt so lost, and I didn't know what society was going to do to him, in the future. I feared for him the way I feared for myself, because I didn't know, where I was meant to be or what I was meant to do, with dyslexia, right? But that being said, I was... my fears went away very quickly when I started realizing that there are people in this, assigned, to us to help us, through these great hurdles, right? And the download that I received from my, spirit guide, right, as far as children with autism, right, was why so many boys, right? I asked the question, like, what's the real deal? Like, what's going on here, right, with society and so many kids, specifically boys. And he made it very clear that they came in to do this huge shift in the collective consciousness, from the roots, like from the educational system needed to change. And, we do live in a war dimension, war planet. And he said that the boys cannot be programmed for war. Wow. So, as they get older, with all the light codes that are coming in right now, the Lion's Gate is upon us, I believe that, these are the children of the new earth. They're coming in, already fully activated, fully functioning, their DNA's turning on, and we're here, the Indigos are here to, create the platform, for the next new, right? We're shifting our consciousness in order to adapt and to empower the children that are coming in.
Excellent. Where do you two think we'll be in 1 year? what would be significant changes that if you fell into it, that you would see where we would be able to go, wow, the world's really awakening?
Well, I have a unique observation here in Sedona. I don't know if anyone else picked up on it, but the cactuses literally have changed. They used to be round, the nogales, right? The Nepal, and they're round. Now they're pointed. If you look around town, now they're pointed. So the earth is changing. The weather is changing. We're becoming more synergistically connected to each other and our earth, our host planets, the plants, the animals. Lots of supply chain management and other things are changing. Financial environments are changing. We're working on supporting government systems changing and adjusting. I envision a world, and hopefully it could be next year, our military systems across our world could be humanitarian aid. Taking out the weapons of war, taking out, some planetary stewards of different books. Dune, Frank Herbert talked about it in many of his books, of inside the idea of planetary stewardship. And we don't really have a conversation about planetary stewardship very much amongst the whole collective, and how we all make a difference inside that stewardship. And it starts with us creating this interpersonal responsibility towards our own environment, then the environment around us, and what that does and that impact that we have with it. And when we start releasing parasitic consumerism, all about me, when we have the opportunity to really share some advanced levels of conscious awareness, we then start to open opportunities of infrastructure build that we haven't thought of before. So the opportunity of, it was in Frank Herbert's books. He talked about when you come down to a planet and you see the apex predator species, so humans on the planet that are running the planet, interwoven with their consciousness with the host planet, and they have toys of war to the children, the species is over. Now, how long have we been giving children toys of war? Guns, water guns, I don't know, bows and arrows, all different kinds of things. And now we have an opportunity with our collective consciousness rising to let go of, toys of war and giving it to the children and moving through that. We have an opportunity, we have enough resources, food, water, energy on this planet so that everyone can be prosperous, supported, living and loving and thriving in the world. So next year, where are we? Many steps forward from right now is the opportunity.
Anchoring heaven on earth, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Right? Heaven on planet Earth is hope.
I never liked the word hope until now. I like that. Heaven on planet Earth. So I just want to point out that this may seem, and it is, a conversation, but this information is coming from, right now I think the vast majority females, some males. I'm not talking about the platforms that have been established, and maybe they have, and they don't have a lot of public awareness in respect to what they're doing, but it's so important to hear what these sovereign beings, sovereign in the making, whatever you want to call it, and particularly these women who haven't been talking, who've been standing in the background, who've been waiting. I think this is just something, if you look at the numbers of this show, every time we get this frequency on here, this is what happens. It's like, oh, we don't know them, and there's 20, and then 30, and then 40, and then the next thing you know, the conversation keeps going, and they keep talking. They're not instructing, they're not really teaching in the true definition of the word. They're just sharing their own code, which is their own sacred wisdom tied to their soul signature. So I would just point that out, and it's obviously tremendous amount of gratitude and honor, reverence, and respect and love for all of you out there that are stepping up like these two. I wonder, what would it be like if you took two or what's been your experience when you have a sister that's aligned a lot like you, and I know you both have that. Do you ever connect together, and what happens?
Connect together.
Like, do you ever connect with a sister and just kind of like share your experiences and or actually connect together as you would as an individual?
So I think there's lots of levels of connection, right? There's conversation connection, there's eye to eye connection, there's soul to soul, there's heart to heart, there's mind to mind. I think we've been playing, all of us, a lot with different forms of telepathy and different forms of connecting with each other and sharing how that receptivity with the other lands. So when we are open to receptivity, to receiving information, understanding wisdom from each other, we can start creating these connection points. So what I noticed is I did a gathering. We were called to go to an event, but we didn't have the address. And so we texted this gentleman, and he didn't respond because he was probably busy putting the event together. And so I sent him we said a T-mail, a telepathic email, or a text message, or a mental text was what we could call it. And we sent it to him asking us, could he send us the address? And there was no response. So I said, what is the receptivity of that person's telepathic connection and process? And so I just reconnected again to another part, and it was his giftedness, and it was his ability to have direct knowing. So all of a sudden that landed into his consciousness. Go look at his phone, see that people are asking where to go to, and he responded within a couple of minutes. And then revalidated it with him when we met him. And I said, I was talking to your direct knowing self. And he said, yeah, I just knew to go to the phone. So it's these ways in which we can communicate with each other and connect with each other that are heart-centered. We're not trying to push or control or demand the communication to occur. What we do is gently have the opportunity to supportively enter their energetic field and drop a message in that serves everyone, not just the person who's sending the message. So that's kind of how I envision us speaking on many topics and many levels at the same time.
Oh, yeah, I absolutely agree with you. It's, we carry a heart signature, right? And, when you come from the heart, the heart is like a phone, if you want to look at it like that, right? It's a portal of information, and, the eyes are the windows. So these two are very magnetic in that way. And, you just have to get somebody's, attention. You draw that energy towards you, So anytime that I've ever connected with, female, sisters, right? Soul sisters, it's, I try to quickly read their energy, figure out their love language, right? And to, to see what we have in common. And that's how we connected so quickly.
That's how y'all connected?
Yeah.
Have y'all connected together?
As far as in the astral?
No, I mean just take a moment and go, let's connect together.
I think so.
Yeah.
During conversation and opportunities of watching rainbows out on the street. Right?
I was there.
Yeah.
So, in terms of what you want to, your purpose, I guess, just to give everybody an idea, and I know we talked about it on the individual shows, but I just feel like it's important to ask this question because, what you're talking about, I think is awakening code in other people. At least that's my experience or my perspective with this show and what's happening now. It's even bigger than ever. But what are your purposes, or what is your purpose as you see it, And is that purpose something that you feel has been with you for a long time through many lives?
That's a great big question. Purpose. The fun part of purpose is with each incarnation, we have an opportunity to unfold with that which is before us. And when we let go of all the, as you call it, the BS, right, is we let go of all the BS and the inauthentic self part, right, which is basically fear. And when we let go of all those layers of fear, and they're everywhere, in that process, it's our natural purpose or our natural way of being, just informally, organically, naturally just comes forward. We don't have to make it happen, push it happening, or activate it to happening. It organically activates in and of itself. And in that process, what does that look like specifically? Gosh, I don't know, in year 2022, I thought we'd have flying cars by now. What's going on?
We do have them.
I thought teleportation was fully on the planet already. What are we doing? Because we're still sequestering energy, right? And we're still charging for it, and we're still preventing people from being their true nature. So in this process, right, if we start learning teleportation, we can, in California, I have a great cucumber that I grew in the garden, and in Germany, some person's got a great strudel, and we want to trade them. We can just, press a button and send it over, and then, so we can trade like that, right? We have opportunities to do so much more with the planet than we've recognized we could do so far. And it's not just all of us singularly that's coming together to do it. We're going to, awaken massive amounts of people, 50%, 60%, 80% of people to awaken to your natural gifts, where the metaphysical meets the physical and it all is real. Like, we're now, thanks to the scientists, we're now proving that the quantum field exists. We're now proving how it interacts with the atomic world. We're now learning how we can move matter, and it's normal, it's scientific, it's real. Just because our brain and nervous system wasn't programmed to sense quantum particles and other smaller particles doesn't mean they don't exist. And so in that existence, now we have new understanding, new awarenesses to play with our environments. So when we consider purpose and what that means, what comes easy to us? So for example, I have the ability to see colors, see emotions, see all different field patterns, including quantum particles. So I didn't know what it meant to see snow go through solid objects, so to speak. I didn't know that they were neutrinos. So what value does that have? So in each of our giftedness, the purpose starts to unfold in the environments we're in. How about for you?
I agree with you. How do I say this? In our incarnations, right? Our DNA holds the cellular memories, right? And, we are gods to the suits, right? So everything has consciousness, right? Your cells listen to the words that you speak, right? And the frequencies of your thoughts. So be mindful of, what you're saying, what you're thinking, because you are the creator of your reality, right? And the purpose in this incarnation, as far as I feel, is the goddesses are back, to the original ones that hold these template codes, right? And we're here as boots on the ground, making sure that we're raising the frequency for the collective consciousness, and we're setting the pace, that this is the new norm, right? Like, we could talk about being multidimensional, and we're not being, ridiculed or burned at the stake for being considered dubbed a witch, right? We're healing all of the trauma from our ancestral past, right? And we're rewriting history as we speak.
Yeah, I'd love to talk into this concept about witchcraft and all of this funny stuff while helping kids really expose their true nature and what they're capable of, and in this process. So what is witchcraft? What is sorcery? What is all this? It's a form of conjuring, right? And where does conjuring come from? It usually comes from a need or a want. It comes from a desire. It comes from a lack, or it comes from some fear state of being. Like we want to make something happen because we don't have it. And so what I support everyone in recognizing is that we have the opportunity using language to spell things, like literally, right?
Literally.
And when we spell things, when we become conscientious of what we're saying, what we're speaking into, and we release the need, the insistence, the push, the force, and we choose to create solutions based from love versus solutions based from fear. I lack, I need, I want, I have to have. Because we were talking about the other day, when you need or want to have freedom, you don't have it. Right? So when you let go and you know that you naturally are free, even if you're in a confined environment, you have the opportunity to shift or reframe the way you're thinking to actually emancipate that freedom inside yourself. And so these are the opportunities when we can move away from these funny words we use, because everyone on the planet is going to be waking up to their giftedness, their empathy, their telepathy, their multidimensional walking, their ability to send T-mails. Maybe if the solar flare or whatever knocks everything down, we'll still be able to talk to each other. Mm-hmm. That's the world I envision. And that we have a planetary process of communicating with one another. We don't have to have all this tech to be able to connect, communicate, and share with one another. I envision schools in the future to be meditative and in a samadhi sense, where the kids get to be anywhere in the world that they are, and we get to commune in classrooms together, and they get to pick their teachers or their guides or their stewards of the day or of that hour and learn that way. And then when we have a paper shortage, we don't have to worry about textbooks anymore.
Yeah, I agree. We're definitely bringing, what I call the ancient knowledge, the way our forefathers, the ancient ones, our ancestors, walked this earth, and we're now remembering what it was to be taught by priests and priestesses, how to be conscious of our energy, conscious of our environment, and how to interface with, this beautiful illusion that we live in.
and optimizing, right, our relating, and through that optimization we can recognize who sourced the energy, where is it flowing and going, and how is it being received. And then when it's not optimal in any situation, we have an opportunity to come forward, open our hearts, and speak authentically, saying, wow, that really landed poorly. How can we rephrase that and support one another, actually expressing what it is we're here to create? Because all creation starts from a thought. Then a thought turns into a thought stream called consciousness or an awareness. And then that turns into a conversation. You start witnessing it with other people. And then you start collecting opportunities and resources to come together to create it in the physical.
Yes.
Yes.
Eyes popped out.
So, okay. First of all, do either one of you want to share anything with our brothers and sisters? I mean, is there anything you want to do?
What do we want to do?
I
We could do collect. A lot of my work right now is helping parents and stewards of children, so teachers, facilitators, practitioners, pediatric interventionists, right? Whatever we're going to call it, is opportunists to bring forward connection to our inner guidance. And I think sometimes in the world right now, it's a little bit challenging with a lot of false narratives going on that are tremendously embedded everywhere we look, everywhere we speak, everywhere we talk. And we're unraveling all of that. Right. And as we unravel it and we start connecting with our inner guidance, we start to recognize we have different access points. Sometimes it's the clouds. It could be the sun. It could be the moon. It could be the trees, the birds. Could be you, could be you, could be me, could be us. And in that process, we're starting to recognize how to access real information and called direct knowing versus all the filters and the fears that we've had prior to these moments. So that's what I invite everyone that's listening with us in this moment live and then on the pre-record to really take a moment, if you're not driving or doing anything that required skill and time and movement, that you have a moment just to connect with your inner guidance. And what does that mean to you? And sometimes some of us have challenges connecting to our inner guidance because we're too busy. We have too much to do. We have too much to get done. We have too much to complete during the day. And we haven't recognized all the time, or sharing with other loved ones, to recognize that when we take a moment, and really just any moment, it could be even in the bathroom, it doesn't need to be any time. Maybe while we're cooking dinner or taking out the trash or walking on the road, wherever it is, just taking a moment to connect to that inner guidance and quiet the mind to be present to listening. Right? We were talking about this, Todd, the other day. Yesterday about how the sky talks to you. Mm-hmm. Right? What did you receive when the sky spoke to you, for example?
I received that the dragon energy was chasing the avatar's creation's energy. In other words, I saw a picture of like a spaceship or a starship, and I understood that it was a construction of this playground, regardless of what dimensions are involved. And so the dragon energy, which is an original creator energy, was kind of like behind it, kind of like not suppressing it, but kind of like opening its mouth and putting fire on its butt so that it would hear its message of purity and universal will, and that it be incorporated into the creations we have. So that's what came through.
That's awesome. Right? So we have all these different access points. You were just speaking to several different access points too, right? That you were working with over the last few days.
Everybody, has their unique way of looking at their reality, right? And a lot of us connect to dragon energy. A lot of us also connect to the angelics. If you're raised in a religious order, it's to their deities, right? So however you look at it, or however you define it, everything is you, right? All is in the one, right? So it's a reflection, that this dimension that we live in is just showing you where your energy is, the message, to either, be grounded, stay grounded. That's always been my, thing that I have to work on, right? Stay in the suit. When I was a child, I wanted to be out in ethers. I wasn't really connected to the body as much, right? Like you said, signs are everywhere, and the biggest question that I've received, from individuals, it's they don't even know how to meditate. They don't even know how to begin this spiritual, awakening process, right? Is they're like, how do you do it? Like, where do I start? They're overwhelmed, right? And I'm like, be playful, let the universe surprise you. Let the universe, wow you, but you have to ask in order to receive. That's the secret, it's something that isn't taught, right? The angels, they want to help us, right? But because of free will, they observe what we're doing, and, they'll jump in, when you look for assistance. So I just started asking every single day, all right, show me a sign, universe. I want a white feather, am I on the right path? Show me a white feather. Everywhere I went, there were little white feathers. There was a billboard with a white feather. It's everywhere, Another way of being playful with asking is, when you're asking for abundance, right? You want the universe to bring financial flow, right? Well, they watch to see what you do with that, right? And I was, I would be going grocery shopping or anywhere, and I would see a penny on the floor, right? And I would get pinged, pick it up, right? That's your abundance. Yeah, it's a penny, but you didn't have that a minute ago, right? So I just started collecting the pennies, and at the end of the month, I had like $20 worth of pennies. So it's how you define your, like how do you see your blessings? How do you see the miracles every single day? How do you receive those that confirmation and those messages, right? That are being constantly, the universe is constantly, interacting with us, right?
Yeah. Gold. Gold. So, I just want to say what an honor it's been to be able to do this. I always feel like everything is a new opportunity to create a new imprint or a perpetuation of the work that we've done individually and as we're starting to do together. And I want to play with this concept where we have me off the screen and other people, because this is a platform for the voices of the Mother Goddess and all of us, man, woman, or child. That's what we've always understood. And so I see it starting to take on material form, even if I have to persuade people to do it. So I just want to thank both of you. I love you both very much. I really appreciate the interaction that we've had on camera and off, and I'm really elated to see the two of you, which is like 2 = 1. I mean, it's so cute. It's so beautiful and powerful. It really is, and I can see people really resonate with this, so I'm going to keep it going on my behalf as best I can. So thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you, everyone.
Namaste.